Welcome to the Henry James documentary. I'm Juan Garcia. Today we'll be discussing the long and brilliant life of Henry James. Henry James was an American-British author born in New York on April 15, 1843. He was a reclusive child, books were his only friend, and thus the mind of an ingenious writer began to flourish. As he read more and more, he was fascinated by the world of literature and how it can be used to convey the author's mind and thoughts. As he traveled around the world due to his father's work, he was able to experience a variety of culture and literature, as well as different ideas of thinking, and all of which sparked his passion for writing. After graduation from Harvard Law School, he went on to start his long journey of writing.
During the mid to late 1800s, Henry James rose to fame publishing novels and short stories such as The Turn of the Screw, Daisy Miller, and The Real Thing. Speaking of which, we present our recreation of the famous short story, The Real Thing.
We were recommended by Mr. Ribbits.
That's very nice of him.
He said you're the one.
I try to be when people like to sit.
We would like to.
Together?
Yes, if you do anything with me, I would like to make it double and make it pay.
That's very nice of you.
I mean, we are trying to, you put me in an illustration.
You're...
Yes, we want to be a model.
A model?
Yes.
I thought you two were aristocrats.
Well, I was a military man and ran into a little financial trouble.
Okay, cool. I guess I could hire you guys as models. Oh, excuse me, I got a letter. Oh, that's weird. Apparently my boss doesn't like the drawings I've done with you guys. Apparently you guys are just bad models.
But we could do anything. We could sit, we could pose, we could dress differently.
We can practice more.
Wouldn't you want to illustrate the real thing instead of some models pretending to be fake?
I don't mean to be harsh, but I can find better models. I know better models.
But we're the real thing.
But you're our last hope.
I'll see if I use you guys again. I'm sorry. Out of my office.
But
why are you guys cleaning my office?
couldn't we do anything?
We need this job.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
We need to be models. There's nothing else for us.
Well, not models. Anything. Couldn't I just do
Can we just clean around and so you can give us money or something?
I'm sorry, I don't know if I can use you guys again. I don't want to risk getting fired.
But we could try to be better.
You could,
always.
but you know what? Here's some money. Just get out of my studio, please.
Okay. Well.
Okay, I'll see you around. So yeah, I paid them money and I just paid them to get out of my studio because it was really uncomfortable and they were cleaning my office and stuff. That was kind of weird.
Do you regret it?
No, I don't regret it. It was worth the memory. In the 1800s, James wrote two novels about social reformers and revolutionaries. In the novel Boston Life, he analyzed struggles between some conservative masculinity, embodied Southerners living in the North, and embittered suffragists. The second novel, The Princess Casamassima, showed all the violence of the decade and shows the struggle of men against revolutionaries. He later went on to write more novels which failed him so badly that it booed him off the stage on his first performance. After this, he went on to change his entire way of storytelling. He did this by altering scenes and imagery to give more vision to his audience. Doing this resulted in him developing consciousness and more moral education, leading to his top creations and his most well-known novels. During the start of the First World War, James revoked his American citizenship in protest of the United States' neutrality. He then moved to London. In his later years, James lived in retirement. James suffered a stroke in his home in London and died on February 28, 1916. I'm not in front of a green screen because I had to re-record this at my house. So his writing style is kind of all over the place. He's a kind of abstract writer. His stories usually are not what they seem at surface level. He used a lot of characters as, character archetypes as sort of like metaphors for different topics. For example, in Daisy Miller, he uses this American girl who's very, vulgar, very out there, very open, and this European guy who is conservative. He's a quiet guy, and he shows these two characters contrasting as a sort of commentary on how America is different from the rest of the European sphere. How America is more of a young, wild, free nation versus Europe, which is sort of a more proper place. And Henry James also uses he definitely comments on a lot of conservative versus libertarian ideas clashing. He really likes that idea, and that suits him because he's an American British person. He is a person who lived most of his life in Europe, but who was born in New York. So he has that clash within him of American and European, which I think is very similar to that theme in his writing, where he is clashing conservatism and libertarianism in his writing with different characters, different themes, different ideas. And I think that his writing style definitely speaks to the person he is, and I think it definitely comes through on his writing. How relevant is Henry James today? Well, Henry James has influenced a lot of people, including people like Nathaniel Hawthorne, which, if you remember, is the author of Dr. Heidegger's Experiment, which is a connection from English. And he's influenced a lot of people. He's a really big figure in the realism genre of writing, and he's a pretty big name still, even though realism has kind of faded into the background since the 1800s. His sort of styles and his writing techniques still kind of live on to this day in different authors. You can see how different people have taken what he's done and done it in their own way and added their own twist to it. And another thing that really adds to Henry James's relevancy is a lot of people argue over whether or not he was gay, which is true. A lot of people say that he was gay, and that it's a really big argument amongst Henry James's fans. They sort of just argue over that on the internet, or that's what it looks like. And that really adds to his relevancy, because it's kind of rare to see such a way back figure in history be possibly gay. And I feel like people are curious about that, and that adds to his his modern relevancy. So Henry James definitely modernly relevant, definitely a guy who's still a name you can I don't know, but yeah, he's still relevant.